The human ambassador stood in the grand hall of the Galactic Council, his weathered face calm despite the chaos around him. Ambassador John Walker had spent 15 years trying to keep peace between Earth and the other species. Humans were known across the galaxy as the friendly ones, the species that always helped, always forgave, always tried to find peaceful solutions. The massive chamber held representatives from 50 different worlds. The insect-like Krells clicked their mandibles nervously. The floating gas beings from Nebula 9 pulsed with anxious colors. Even the warrior race called the Titans shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The attacks on human colonies must stop, Walker said, his voice steady but tired. This was the 100th time he had asked. The 1,000th time humans had shown patience. The council leader, a tall creature with silver skin named Prime Vex, waved a dismissive hand. Your colonies expanded too quickly. Other species felt threatened. These are merely territorial disputes. Walker's assistant, Captain Lisa Stone, gritted her teeth behind him. She commanded the defensive fleet that protected human space. For 5 years, she had watched alien raiders destroy human farms, steal human technology, and kill human families. Each time, Earth's government ordered her to stand down, to negotiate, to be understanding. 30,000 humans died last month alone, Walker replied. Our merchant ships are hunted. Our children are taken as slaves by the Ravagers. Still, we offer peace. The other species laughed. Some openly, others hiding it behind their appendages. To them, humanity's kindness was weakness. Humans had shared their medical knowledge freely, helped rebuild worlds after disasters, and never started a single war since joining the galactic community. Prime Vex stood, his 7-foot frame towering over the human. Perhaps if humans were stronger, others would not test them. The galaxy respects power, not kindness. In the corner, the youngest member of the human delegation clenched his fists. Lieutenant Tom Reed had lost his entire family to a Krell raid 6 months ago. The Krells had claimed it was an accident, that they thought the colony was abandoned. Everyone knew it was a lie. We have been patient, Walker said, pulling up a holographic display. For 20 Earth years, we have suffered attacks. We have lost 1 million citizens. Our technology has been stolen and used against us. Yet we remained peaceful. The display showed images of destroyed human colonies, burning ships, and mass graves. Several alien representatives looked away, but most seemed unbothered. The humans are too soft to fight, announced General Zek of the Titan military. They heal our sick and feed our hungry, but they cannot even protect their own people. Perhaps they should leave the outer systems to stronger species. Captain Stone stepped forward, but Walker raised a hand to stop her. He pulled out a small device from his pocket, a black cube that hummed with energy. The human government has voted, Walker announced. This is our final offer of peace. Stop all attacks on human territories immediately. Return our stolen technology. Release all human slaves. You have 72 Earth hours to comply. The chamber erupted in laughter. The Krells clicked in amusement. The Titans pounded their tables. Even the usually neutral observers from the crystal worlds chimed in harmony, a sound they made when witnessing something absurd. Or what? Prime Vex asked, his voice dripping with mockery. Will the humans write us an angry letter? Send us more medical supplies? Build us more schools? Walker's expression never changed. He had hoped, prayed even, that it would not come to this. Humans had spent centuries overcoming their violent nature, choosing cooperation over conflict. But the galaxy had mistaken their choice for inability. No, Walker said quietly, placing the black cube on the podium. We will stop being nice. The cube projected a single image, Earth's hidden fleet. Not the small defensive force everyone knew about, but the real fleet. Thousands of warships, each one using technology humans had developed but never shared. Weapons that could crack planets, shields that could withstand supernovas, and engines that could cross the galaxy in days. The laughter died instantly. 72. Hours, Walker repeated, then turned and walked out. His delegation following behind them. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence, finally understanding a terrible truth. Humanity had never been weak. They had been patient. And that patience had just run out. 3 days passed faster than anyone in the Galactic Council had expected. Not a single species had taken the human ultimatum seriously. Some had even increased their raids on human territories as a show of defiance. They believed they had called humanity's bluff. Admiral David Black stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the UES Retribution. The massive vessel had been hidden in dark space for 10 years, waiting. Around him, 300 similar warships powered up their systems for the first time. These were not the converted cargo vessels and lightly armed patrol boats the galaxy knew. These were purpose-built instruments of war. Admiral, all Ghost Fleet sections report ready. His second-in-command, Colonel Maria Santos, announced. 37 species have ignored our deadline. 12 have increased hostile activities. Black nodded slowly. He was 70 years old, one of the few humans who remembered when Earth's military was not just for show. He had spent 40 years preparing for this moment while hoping it would never come. On Earth, President Robert Hayes sat in the emergency bunker with his council. The decision had been unanimous. Humanity could no longer afford to be the galaxy's victim. A kind approach had failed. Now, they would speak the only language the galaxy seemed to understand. Release the locks, Hayes ordered. Across human space, things began to change. The medical stations humans ran for free started closing. The food supplies humans provided to struggling worlds stopped shipping. The technological assistance programs ended immediately. But that was just the beginning. On the mining world of Krell Prime, the insect-like creatures were celebrating their latest successful raid when their sky turned dark. A single human ship appeared, unlike anything they had seen before. It was black, angular, and radiated a sense of menace that made their antennae twitch with primal fear. Captain Alex Miller commanded that ship. He had volunteered for this mission because the Krells had taken his daughter. He opened a channel to the planet below. This is Captain Miller of the UE's Consequence. You have stolen from us. You have killed our people. You have 1 hour to evacuate your military installations. The Krell commander laughed, a sound like breaking glass. 1 ship? You threaten us with 1 ship? We have thousands. Miller did not reply. He simply waited. The Krells launched their entire defense fleet, 500 ships that had terrorized human merchants for years. They surrounded the single human vessel, weapons charging. Fire, the Krell commander ordered. 1,000 energy beams struck the human ship simultaneously. When the light faded, the UE's Consequence remained untouched. Its shields had not even flickered. Miller's voice came through again, cold and professional. 59 minutes remaining. On the Titan homeworld, General Zek was reviewing plans to conquer 3 more human colonies when every screen in his command center went dead. Then a simple message appeared. The giant falls when the ground disappears. Before he could respond, reports flooded in. Every Titan military base throughout the galaxy had lost power simultaneously. Their proud warships drifted helplessly in space. Their weapon systems would not respond. In seconds, the mighty Titan military had been neutralized by a virus hidden in the medical equipment humans had gifted them years ago. The floating gas beings of Nebula. 9 discovered their atmospheric processors. Another human gift had stopped working. They had 3 days before their artificial atmosphere would dissipate. the crystal worlds found their communication network, built with human assistance, now carried only one message on repeat. You should have accepted our friendship. But humanity was not cruel. Each species received the same offer. Surrender all stolen human property. Release all human slaves. Sign non-aggression pacts and pay reparations. In return, humanity would restore their systems and leave them in peace. Back on the Krell mining world, the hour had passed. Captain Miller gave the order. A single beam shot from his ship to the planet's surface. It struck an empty military base. The Krells had not evacuated, believing it was a bluff. The base did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, along with a perfect sphere of ground 1 mile in diameter and 3 miles deep. The crater's edges were smooth as glass, as if reality itself had been carved away. The Krell commander's compound eyes widened in terror. Wait! We surrender! We surrender! But Miller's ship was already gone, moving to the next target. Across the galaxy, humanity's message became clear. They had spent decades being nice, sharing their knowledge, helping others. They had allowed themselves to be seen as weak. But underneath the kindness had always been the capability for something far more frightening. The war had begun, but it was unlike any war the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity was not seeking conquest or revenge. They were simply done being nice. And that terrified everyone. Asterisk. Within 1 week, the galaxy learned what humanity had been hiding. Not their anger, not their cruelty, but their absolutely terrifying competence at warfare. While other species had raided and pillaged, humans had studied, planned, and prepared. For the day their patience would end, Commander Jack Wilson led the assault on the Ravager stronghold, a massive space station that had served as a slave market for decades. The Ravagers were pirates, outcasts from various species who had banded together to prey on the weak. They had taken more human slaves than any other group. "Sir, the station is hailing us," Lieutenant Emma Brown reported from her position at Communications. "Ignore them," Wilson ordered. His brother had been sold on that station 5 years ago. They never found the body. The Ravager station was protected by energy shields that had never been breached. They had stolen the technology from 12 different species and combined it into something thought to be impenetrable. Wilson's ship, the Hughes Justice, fired a single torpedo. It moved slowly, almost lazily through space. The Ravagers laughed, launching interceptor missiles to destroy it. The missiles passed right through the torpedo as, if it was not there, the torpedo phased. In and out of reality, using a technology humans had developed but never revealed. It passed through the shields, through the station's hull, and materialized in the main reactor room. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away, but the escape pods were not targeted. As they drifted in space, each one received a message. "The slaves you took have been freed. You live only because we choose to be better than you." On the diplomatic front, Ambassador Walker sat across from a very different galactic consul. Prime Vex's silver skin had lost its luster. The Krell representatives huddled together, their usual clicking subdued. Even the mighty Titans looked diminished. "How?" Vex asked simply. "How did we not know?" Walker pulled up a holographic timeline. "Humans joined the galactic community 40 years ago. We shared our medical knowledge, our agricultural techniques, our basic technology. You welcomed us. The timeline showed humanity's contributions, curing the plague of Nexus 7, ending the famine on 12 worlds, rebuilding after the Great Solar Storm. But you also showed us who you really were," Walker continued. "Within 5 years, you were stealing from us. Within 10, you were killing us. You thought our kindness was weakness." He changed the display. It now showed hidden human facilities, secret research stations, and concealed shipyards. Every act of kindness was real, Walker explained. But so was every preparation for this day. We hoped it would never come. We begged you to stop. You laughed at us. General Zek of the Titans, his military might neutralized, finally spoke. You could have conquered us all. Why didn't you? Because we chose to be better, Walker replied. Humans have a dark history. We almost destroyed ourselves with war centuries ago. We learned that strength without kindness leads to destruction. So we tried kindness first. And now? Prime Vex asked. Now we show strength, Walker said, but not cruelty. Every species that has wronged us has a choice. Peace with fair terms, or continued conflict with inevitable defeat. The Crystal Worlds. Ambassador chimed, their harmonious voice wavering. What are your terms? Walker presented the treaty. It was not harsh. Return stolen property, free all slaves, respect borders, and establish fair trade. What humanity demanded was not submission, but simple respect. Meanwhile, the war continued for those who refused. The Scorpion Syndicate, who had destroyed a human hospital ship carrying children, found their home system's sun flickering. Human scientists had developed a way to manipulate stellar output. The message was clear: surrender or live in darkness. The Void Hunters, who had specialized in capturing human explorers for experimentation, discovered that every one of their ships had been tagged with tracking beacons years ago. Human stealth ships appeared beside each one simultaneously, weapons locked. But for every show of force, humanity also showed mercy. Enemy wounded were healed. Surrendering forces were fed and treated well. Civilian populations were protected. Captain Stone, now Admiral Stone, explained it to her crew. We are not becoming the monsters that were. We are showing them what we could have been all along if they had not mistaken our choice for peace as an inability to wage war. By the end of the second week, 17 species had signed the peace treaty. The others watched their defenses crumble, their technologies fail, and their allies abandon them. The galaxy was learning a new word from human language. FAFO. Find around and find out. They had found out. Asterisk 1 month into the conflict, the remaining hostile species formed an alliance. They called it the Coalition of Defiance, bringing together 15 species who refused to accept humanity's terms. They believed that united, they could overwhelm humanity's technological advantage with sheer numbers. The coalition fleet assembled near the Nexus Gate, a strategic choke point that controlled access to human core systems. 8,000 ships gathered, the largest fleet in galactic history. Their commander was Admiral Krex of the Scorpion Syndicate, chosen because his species had lost the most to human retaliation. On Earth, President Hayes watched the tactical display with his advisors. The coalition fleet outnumbered humanity's revealed forces by 4-1. Sir, they're broadcasting. An aide reported. KREX appeared on screen, his multiple eyes gleaming with confidence. Humans, you have surprised us with your hidden strength. But numbers still matter. Surrender now, return to your previous status, and we will show mercy. Hayes looked at Admiral Black, who nodded slightly. They had expected this. In fact, they had counted on it. Admiral Krex, Hayes responded calmly, you have gathered your entire military might in one place. Thank you for making this easier. Before Krex could respond, space itself seemed to ripple around the coalition fleet. 300 human ships appeared out of nowhere, not from hyperspace, not from cloak, but from something else entirely. Captain Miller, now commanding a fleet section, smiled grimly. Humans had not just hidden ships. They had hidden entire technologies. Dimensional folding, the ability to hide in parallel space, was something they had mastered 20 years ago. But the real surprise was yet to come. Dr. James Park, humanities lead scientist, activated Project Mirror from his laboratory on Mars. Every coalition ship suddenly faced a perfect copy of itself. Same weapons, same shields, same capabilities. The humans had not built 8,000 ships. They had built something far more efficient, a quantum duplication field that created temporary but fully functional copies of any vessel within range. The coalition fired first, as humans knew they would. Energy beams and missiles filled space. In a devastating barrage, their duplicate copies fired back with identical force. The coalition was literally fighting itself. While chaos erupted, the real human fleet executed precision strikes. They targeted command ships, communication arrays, and engine systems, not to destroy, but to disable. Within 20 minutes, half the coalition fleet was drifting helplessly on the Krell homeworld, which had reluctantly joined the coalition. Queen Keeper watched her greatest warriors fall without landing a single hit on actual human ships. She turned to her advisors, her antennae drooping in defeat. "Send the surrender signal," she commanded. "The humans ... They are not what we thought." One by one, coalition members began surrendering. But 3 species, the Scorpion Syndicate, the Void Hunters, and the Dark Swarm, refused to yield. They had committed too many atrocities against humanity to expect mercy. These 3 species attempted a desperate final strategy. They threatened to destroy human colony worlds with planet-killer weapons they had secretly built. 20 colonies, with 60 million humans, were targeted. Ambassador Walker delivered humanity's response personally to the remaining coalition members. "You have 3 hours to stop them, or we will show you what we have truly been holding back." The threat was not to the 3 hostile species, but to those watching. The message was clear. Humanity had shown remarkable restraint, but threatening human civilians would end that restraint. The Titan General Zek, whose forces were still powerless, made a choice that would define his legacy. "The humans gave us medicine when we were dying. They fed us when we starved. They asked only for peace in return. We failed them once. Not again." The neutralized Titan fleet was suddenly restored to full power. Humanity had given them back control. Zek led them against the Scorpion Syndicate's planet killers. The Crystal Worlds, their communications restored, sent a galaxy-wide message: stand with humanity or stand against civilization itself. Even some Krells, shamed by their queen's surrender, turned against the 3 holdout species. The galaxy had finally understood. Humanity's kindness had never been weakness. It had been a choice, and that choice had created more loyalty than fear ever could. The final battle was not humanity against the galaxy, but the galaxy standing with humanity against those who refused to evolve past primitive brutality. As the planet-killer weapons were destroyed one by former enemies now fighting alongside human forces, President Hayes spoke to Earth's population. "We did not want this war, but perhaps it was necessary, not to prove our strength, but to prove that kindness and strength can coexist. Today, the galaxy stands with us not because they fear us, but because they finally respect us." The Krex dreadnought Dominion burned in space, its massive hull breached in dozen places. Commander Vex stood on his ruined bridge, watching his empire crumble. Of the 500 ships he had brought, only 150 remained combat-capable. All Krex vessels retreat. Vex commanded, his forearms shaking with rage and disbelief. But James wasn't finished. "All ships, pursue and engage. Don't let them regroup." The human fleet, supported by their growing alliance of freed species, pressed the attack. This wasn't just about defending anymore. This was about ensuring the Krex could never threaten anyone again. "Captain, we're receiving a wideband transmission from Krex space," Brown reported. It's their homeworld, sir. They're requesting communication." On screen appeared an elderly Krex, wearing elaborate robes marking him as their supreme elder. "I am Elder Krix, leader of the Krex Empire, he said slowly, or what remains of it. Reports are coming in from across our territory. The species we conquered are rising up, inspired by your victory. Our empire is collapsing. Good, James replied simply. I offer terms, Krex continued. Complete withdrawal from all conquered territories. Return of all enslaved species. The Krex will retreat to our original home system and never expand again. And why should we accept? James asked. We're winning. Because, Krex said, humans understand mercy. It's what makes you different from us. We conquered through fear. You conquer through hope. Show the galaxy that humanity knows when to stop fighting. James looked around his bridge. His crew, battle-worn but victorious, waited for his decision. Through the fleet comb, he could hear the other human captains discussing. Admiral White, your thoughts? James asked. The Admiral's voice came through from Earth. Captain James, you're the field commander. You've earned the right to make this decision. James thought of the 97 names on the memorial at Colony. 3. Of Mary and her lucky strike. Of all who had died to reach this moment. Elder Krex, humanity accepts your terms with conditions, James announced. The Krex will pay reparations to all conquered species. You will share your technology to help rebuild what you destroyed. And a human observation post will be established in your system to ensure compliance. These terms are acceptable, Krex replied, defeat in his voice. One more thing, James added. Commander Vex is to be turned over for trial. On his burning dreadnought, Vex roared in fury. Never! I will die fighting. His own crew, tired of war and seeing no hope, stunned him and prepared him for transport. The guns fell silent across the battlefield. 300 Krex ships jumped away, leaving their empire behind. The freed species began celebrating, their communications filled with joy and disbelief. A month later, Captain James stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. Representatives from 43 species, most freed from Krex rule, had gathered on humanity's Luna station. Captain James, the Alteron ambassador began, this council owes its existence to you and humanity. You showed us that tyranny can be defeated. We wish to offer humanity leadership of this council. James shook his head. With respect, humanity doesn't want to lead. We want to be equals. Every species here fought for freedom. Every species deserves an equal voice. The council erupted in discussion. This was unprecedented. The strongest military power refusing dominance, choosing cooperation instead. Back on Earth, James received a hero's welcome, but he felt uncomfortable with the parades and medals. At the memorial for the Battle of Colony 3, he stood alone in the rain. We did it, he said to the names on the stone. The galaxy is free. Because you didn't run. Smith found him there. Captain, they want to promote you to Admiral. Lead the new combined defense fleet. I'm a warship captain, Smith. That's all I ever wanted to be. The war is over, sir. What will you do now? James looked up at the stars. Explore, isn't that? What humans do. We fought for freedom. Now let's use it. 5 years later, the galaxy had transformed. The Krex, true to their word, remained in their home system. Former slave species rebuilt their worlds. Humanity became known not as conquerors, but as liberators. And somewhere in deep space, aboard the exploration vessel New Horizon, Captain James and Commander Smith charted unknown stars. The warrior had become an explorer again. The legend of the lone human warship that defeated a whole fleet became a story told across the galaxy, not as a tale of war, but as proof that sometimes one ship standing firm can change the universe. The end. Asterisk.